says every day's a chance for happiness. Yes, we can live a beautiful, crazy plan. Every day's a celebration. Every day's a celebration. Every day's a celebration.
Hello and welcome to the Great Song Adventure. I'm here with my good friend Louise Goffin. Hi, Louise.
Hi, how you doing, Paul?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm just can't believe what we've got going on this episode. I am so excited to be able to share this with everybody.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to start our archival episodes with Tom, of all people. Pretty beloved person, and we lost him pretty recently, and that's been a tough loss, but we're not going to get sad. I'm so glad that we get to use some of the archival stuff. I mean, at first I was not sure if it was a good idea because they were done for print. They weren't done to be listened to, but there's some really great conversations, and Tom, as you know, was so open and so grounded and humble that it's a really wonderful conversation. I really loved listening to it. This is one I did before we did a book. We did our book Conversations with Tom Petty later, but this was right when he did the album Echo, 1999, and had a great talk.
I listened to it so many times, and there were things that seeped into my consciousness, things Tom said about the songwriting process and making that record, and there was, I don't know, there's just a real intimacy to the conversation that you had that day, and so many great things. I mean, at one point, he's talking about coming up with an idea when the band is all playing a whole other idea, and that just stayed with me. It seemed like he had this relationship with his craft and himself where he trusted what inspired him. And he says, you'll hear it in the interview, he talks about having this idea and everyone's playing something else and he keeps playing these chords over and over. He said, I like these chords. And he said he persisted in continuing to play them even though the band was in another key and playing a different song until eventually everyone in the band started playing them along with them, and somebody just rolled the tape. And is that the song where you hear the tape roll at the front? They kept it?
Yeah, and that's the song Swingin', which came out to be a great song. And I think that's such a great story. Number one, that Tom Petty is playing, and the band is just, Tom's playing, but we're doing our own thing. It took him a while to, maybe we should play with Tom. But many times during this, he talked stories about how people had different opinions about certain songs, and he persisted. And it's such a great lesson for songwriters to know that no matter what, the songwriter knows the song better than anyone. Often producers, your band, your musicians have a lot of ideas, sometimes right. But ultimately, a songwriter does have to trust themselves. Like the song Rhino Skin is on this album, and it's a wonderful song about that, about having to develop a tough skin in this business, in this world. But there's a line in it, you're going to have elephant balls if you don't want to have to crawl through this world. And he said everybody, starting with the producer, Rick Rubin, and everyone said, Tom, that's an awful line. You got to change it. You got to get the elephant balls out of the song. And he didn't. But he did say in this, he said, I did actually try to come up with something better, and there was nothing better. But he also knew it was good. To me, that's like a line you'd say to a guy in a bar, like sitting next to you in a bar. But so much about the conversation is that, that the songwriter really has to trust his own feelings. And the other thing that comes across a lot was kind of an issue for Tom, too, because he was such a good songwriter that his songs would just seem perfect, like they just came out. But some of them took a long time. Like You Wreck Me took almost 2 years. He had You Rock Me before he had the right word. And some of these took a long time. And he said, people often say, it's easy, your stuff sounds easy. And several times he said, yeah, you think it's easy, you try to do it. Because he was so good, they seem easy. But if you're a songwriter, you play the chords. I mean, they're just brilliant, the way he puts chords together. And there's so much genius into it. But part of that genius in songwriting is that it doesn't seem contrived. It just seems perfect.
Yeah, simple is hard. I mean, I've had that with teaching songs to a band where I had not a lot of chords in a song, which is kind of a rarity for me, but not so much these days. And it really is harder to learn how to play a simple song. The less chords there are in the song, the more precise the small changes are. And sometimes the harder it is to remember where those things come. It's really, you have to know the song intimately to play a
that's so
simple
true.
song.
That song is such a short form that every small ingredient makes such a big difference. But Tom was really smart at that, to know that simplicity really matters in a song. And he said to me at one point, if you come up with a chord and it seems like a really cool chord to put in there, but it doesn't really fit, don't put it in.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. He wasn't trying to impress the musicians by, wow, you did that. He's trying to make a song that sounds perfect, and he did that so much that to a non-musician, I think it could give you the false impression that these things just came through him like that.
When I started to reference some of the songs that you both were talking about, I hadn't been acquainted with it, and I went back and listened to the songs, and the thing that came across was his vocals on this record. I mean, from top to bottom, every single song, they're amazing performances, and he was one of the great rock singers ever. And, one thing I was telling you that I love so much about the vocals and Tom's singing in general is it's not a shriek. It's not a fist pumping rock. It's really all about the conviction in the words and the emotions and the heart behind it. Every one of these stories he's telling in this record just knocked me over with how every line was delivered. Just so beautifully done.
Yeah. And, the vocals, they got better as the years went on. It was more tortured for him to make records in the beginning. And he had a feeling that recording had to be hard. And working, like Rick Rubin showed him, those demos that you start at home, we can use those. You don't have to start over. That changed everything. And also, as he says on this, he loved it. The Heartbreakers, as we know, amazing musicians. So getting to play with that band made him feel good. But he loved it. And after a while, I think his songwriting and the vocals reflected the love, the joy there.
I think that's always true. The more you love something, the better you get at it.
Yeah. And now, to see his whole life, it's pretty remarkable just how much great material he wrote. 40 years, and he never stopped. But as he said, it wasn't because he didn't love it. He did it because he loved it more than anything. He said, a lot of my friends, they want to go to Hawaii or go play golf or something. He said, there's nothing else I like more. So even on this, I was surprised when I was listening. I forgot he said this, but he was having so much fun making the record that night he would start a new song. So the next day he'd have a new song to play with the Heartbreakers. So it was all about that joy. And he was very proud of all the craft that went into it. And Echo is not even one of his most famous albums. It's considered a very sad album in his life because he had gone through a divorce, so there's some sad songs. But it shows just how much care he put into every aspect, of the writing, the production, the singing, all of it.
I love the way, too, he talked about the bits. He talks about holding on to bits, and you don't ever say, well, nothing's going on with that song. You have a good bit and you have it there in your consciousness, and eventually you find another bit that goes with it, and it's really like taking care of all the moving parts and pieces and ideas that you've had. Some songs would take a while to really come together. Yeah,
and that's another part of songwriting, that you collect these bits like pieces of wood to build a guitar out of someday, He said, like Room at the Top, which is on this album, he said, started on the piano. He said, I had that song for years because anytime I'd sit at a piano, I would just start playing that melody. And so he had that for years. And it's one of his most haunting, beautiful songs. But it's exactly that. It's something he carried around for years before he really turned it into a real song,
Yeah, such a gift to be able to hear this interview. Our listeners are going to get to hear it now.
Yeah, and I'm very happy about that. And I'm in touch with all the great Tom Petty Nation fans. He's got quite a giant network of fans there. And I think it's expanding every day. So I'm really happy to bring this. This is the first of many shows we can do with Tom because I got a lot working on the book. We met for more than a year every Saturday. So there's a lot. So This is recorded at his home. You can hear Dana, his second wife, is there a little bit. And it starts with that issue about him talking about that sometimes it feels easy. It's all about getting in the zone. That's where this one starts.
Well, we're going to get in the zone with him right now. Let's listen to Tom Petty in 1992 talking about his record, Echo.
It takes a while to get into the zone, but once you get into the zone, or I get into the zone, it did kind of come easy. I mean, some things came ridiculously easy, and then some things were a little bit harder to flesh out, but it's kind of like getting in a zone. You know, once you get there, like really once the time's booked and the band's there, it was really because they cut everything so fast, I'd have to have something else to do. So I'd go home that night, usually after the session, and I'd come up with some little thing and kind of get it fleshed out by the time the session was underway the next day, you know. But then again, I'd stop every, as is my pattern, we'll work through 2 or 3 songs and then stop. Like if we'll be out of songs then, and we'll just stop for however long it takes to come up with 2 or 3 more, which might be a week or it might be 3 or 4 weeks or 2 months, you know, you never know. So that's kind of was the way we worked. We just worked on as long as we had material, and then we just stopped until we had some more.
So you always write something to bring into them. You're not writing with them. You bring in a fragment and then work on that with the band?
Yeah, I didn't, in this album, like say the difference in this album and Wildflowers was, since it was a Heartbreakers record, there were no demos. Where in Wildflowers I had really elaborately done demos. But here I'd just play it down on the guitar or the piano, and they'd take it wherever they were going to take it. So I didn't even have very much of a preconceived idea.
Would you finish the whole song, the whole lyric, before bringing it to the...
Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes there'd be bits where I'd say, well, I got it all but the second verse, so I'm just going to sing the first verse twice, and then I'll fill that in later. But I try not to do that if I can.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I like to have it pretty much done, the song.
Because you won't get the right feel if you don't know really what the lyrics are in there.
Yeah, and it's good to know that it's a good song, you know, that it's all done and it's all going to come together.
Yeah.
So... But I don't know, some things came very easy, you know.
Which ones were the easiest?
The easiest one was Swingin'.
Oh, yeah?
Which came really like, I don't know, we got down the end of the album and we started thinking we were going to do a recut on something. Free Girl Now. We were thinking like we could make a better record out of this, and whilst there were some schools of thought that we could make a better record, and some of us thought it ought to be just like it was, because it's a real shaky record in a way. I mean, it's like
it's raw.
It's very raw.
It's got a great feel. It's a total bash.
Yeah, and then so we got down to the studio and went back in the very 11th hour of the record to see if we could make a better track. And really our hearts weren't in it. You know, everybody knew we had it. And so we never actually played it, I don't think. But while we were plugging in and sitting there, I came up with these chords to Swingin', and I just started playing them actually underneath this. They were jamming or feedback going on, or so there was noise going on. It wasn't. I was playing against them, and I just kept playing those chords over and over, and then finally they heard them, and bam! It just fell down on these chords, and I ad-libbed the whole song.
Yeah.
and talked about them. And then after that, Rick Rubin was looking at, all that was going on. I think that's a really good song, and which seemed hard to believe, because you had just ad-libbed it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we not only ad-libbed it, I mean, like how he sang that background part live, it all just kind of came down, There's a few chords I was calling out that I had to rub out. So we listened to it again, and we cut it one more time, and that was it.
Wow.
So there's that done, and I don't even know this song, it was really a thrill. Like, I didn't even know this song, and it was done. It was a record. And it's turned out to be one of my more favorite ones, My more favorite ones.
It's other songwriters have said when a song comes that easy that they mistrust it too, that it can't be good if it came that easily. You feel that too sometimes?
Well, yeah, because you start, wondering where it came from. Where did that come from? But I'm getting better about just accepting it as like, well, a gift,
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be happy we got it.
Where do you think it comes from? Any idea?
No, I don't really know where it comes from.
That song, like many of your songs, has that feeling that it came easily to you, that you were just kind of in the zone and it.
Well, that's good. I mean, if you can get it over, I mean, that's what I've always been striving for, is for it to just feel sort of timeless, and and light, but not lightweight,
Right, exactly.
So.
And they don't sound like you fussed over them. They sound like you just kind of found them in an easy way.
Yeah.
They don't sound labored.
They're not labored. I mean, there was another one, Billy the Kid.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote that on the drive to the studio in Bugs' truck,
Yeah.
My trusty roadie Bugs was driving me to work, and I got this idea, for this song, Billy the Kid. And I actually pulled out a pad, and we were going over Topanga Canyon with all those curves, so I was really writing off the edge of the paper, because it was back and forth in the truck. And I wrote it all out on the way to work. And I had the tune in my head.
The tune just vanilla, no guitar chords or anything?
No, I just had it all in my head.
Huh.
So I got in there to work, and I said, boy, I think I got a good one here, And they go, how's it going? I go, well, wait a minute, I got to figure it out. And they're looking at me like, what? And I got the guitar out and started to figure out the chords, because I knew the tune in my head. And that was another one where I swear, I mean, I didn't know how the song really went. And I put the lyric sheet up, and I ran over the chords with them with an acoustic. I think I even changed the key right there, because where I was humming in my head was somewhere a little higher than I was playing, so I changed the key up. And if you hear Billy the Kid, you'll hear it go at the beginning, because...
Yeah, there's a weird sound effect.
Well, what it is it's, Mike did all the engineering. There was no engineer on the track dates, on most of them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Mike hitting record while the band's playing.
Oh, really?
Because the band started to play, and this great feel came down, and I actually went, hit it, and he turned around and he hit record, and then you can hear his guitar like slowly kick in, because he's just getting his guitar over.
Uh-huh.
And so there's Billy the Kid, and I did it down, and we're tremendously excited at the end of this. And then we go, wow, well, this is going to be great. We spent all night playing it, and it never got as good as that very first pass through it. So we wind up using the one with the noise on the front of it.
Well, you could have edited it, but it sounds cool that you left it on there.
Well, yeah, I got used to it.
Yeah. Well, were there songs on this album that that were the opposite, that were really hard to get right? This is
I'm trying to remember what song I have. Nothing took me weeks to write. There were some where I took a little more time. Accused of Love took about 2 days.
yeah.
2 days of thinking that through, and what it was to get the title, was to get the punchline to fall into place just right, because I didn't really know what it was. I knew what I wanted to say, but I didn't know how to say it yet. And I was actually with my trusted girlfriend Dana. We were. I kept about 5 in the morning. I kept playing her this song,
Yeah.
and on the guitar, and I just put in anything there,
Were they accused of love?
and it's a can of beans or whatever, And then suddenly, boof, Accused of Love fell down, and I just fell all around the room laughing, like I got so elated, like
Going up and down.
that's it,
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It finally came, It was kind of like I knew it was going to come. I just had to keep the pole in the water,
Right. It's interesting. It's like You Wreck Me. How long it took you to get the word wreck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This was like You Wreck Me was about 2 years, but this was just 2 days, fortunately.
That one's interesting. It's got kind of almost like a British kind of early Beatles melody. It's very upbeat.
Yeah, I was trying to do. It's funny how you see these influences go round and round, because I was thinking like Don Everly, that sort of melody.
Mm-hmm.
But it does sound very kind of mid-60s English.
Yeah, and he influenced
And
him,
he was
of course,
obviously, influencing him.
It's also like one of those songs, very short. It's only 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's great when you can get it all in
Yeah.
that amount of time.
It's interesting, too. The Beatles always called their bridges middle eights, even if they weren't 8 measures. And
Right.
I noticed this one is a perfect 8 measures.
Is it?
Yeah. But there's no words. I was wondering if you're thinking of singing that bridge ever. It's just an instrumental bridge. That's all.
No, I thought the song would get. I thought about it for a minute, but I thought it was going to get too wordy if I put in a big thing there. So in some of those British invasion records, they sometimes do that, just like hammer out some variation on the chord progression for a bridge, and it works.
Yeah, it sounds great. Did you have that title in before you did the last verse? Because the last verse is all about the defense flies out the window.
Well, that inspired a quick rewrite, and
that's a cool verse.
in the last verse.
But it all came right at that moment. It was like a puzzle, and once you got that, it was like, okay, this is it. And it was like an incredible
It was like,
achievement. It was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was really exciting to witness that, too. Just see. It's a really big
But so many
vibe.
songwriters have described that as really more than finding the right thing than putting it there, inventing it. It's like you're finding what's meant to be there.
I always
that
feel
way?
that way, like it's already been done, it's just gonna come. And I've been enjoying writing the songs, I really enjoyed doing this album, and I wrote them at my own pace, and there was never really any pressure to hurry up. So it was really pretty enjoyable. I was kind of sad when it all wrapped up. I just feel like I'm really getting good now.
That enjoyment, I thought was really reflected in the chord changes. I've been playing along on them, and some of the chord changes are really great. Really
Oh yeah,
inventive
thank
and
you.
interesting.
Thank you. So, well, that is thorough if you learn the chords.
It's
But
fun
there were
to
some
find
good
it.
chords, like Lonesome Sundown had some good
Yeah,
chords.
that was the first one that struck me. That one.
Had that weird turnaround on the chorus,
Go to an E minor there.
Yeah, I really liked that. I was kind of tickled with those chords. And another one was One More Day, One More Night. You know that I like those chords.
Yeah.
I originally wrote that as a skiffle, like really fast.
Really?
One more day. Da, 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 da. You know.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I've done so many skiffles, you know, so I took it to a more R&B thing with the band when I brought it in the band. But we played it once at skiffle, and I noticed everybody kind of not really saying anything, but had this look of, I think we've been down this road. So I said, well, let's try it like an R&B thing.
That was a good show. It's a real great closer for the album.
Yeah, it worked well. Yeah.
With Lonesome Sundown, it's almost, I was not even sure what key it's in almost. Like, is this a
No,
key?
I'm not either. Yeah, I'm not either.
It's cool that way. And also the way you extend the verses where you go E, A, D, you know, kind of extending it.
Right, yeah.
It's a beautiful melody.
I don't know what key it was in either. I love to do that, though, if I can bust into another key from the one I'm in and then somehow get back.
Yeah, and that does that. Going to that E minor kind of lifts the whole song into a different place.
Yeah.
Is that kind of thing where you're just trying different chords, or are you thinking, like, you know, this got to go somewhere now?
It popped in, man. I mean, it was like, I'd love to tell you I worked really hard, but I just, I got in a good space. I had a real good guitar that Gibson has been, you know, we've been working on this guitar for ages. I don't know if it's ever going to get done because a while back Gibson changed all its people or something, and so work seemed to stop on this guitar called Wildflower.
Oh yeah?
And, but I did get a prototype, right, that arrived, and
Acoustic?
it's a J200 acoustic, but it has a really narrow, like electric guitar type neck, like my old. I have one from the '50s that was custom made, and it's really easy to play. But this was such a good piece of wood. I don't know what kind of wood it was, but it sounds incredible. And it's so comfortable to play. So I loved sitting around playing this thing, and. I just, you know, I got lucky though because things were just coming in.
Did you write the whole album on that one guitar?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Since your last time I interviewed you, you described that sometimes the guitar just feels friendly, you know, when you pick it up in the morning.
It sure does.
Yeah,
I've repeated that quote quite a bit with people because it's true. There's some days that it's really inviting and friendly to you, and then there's some days where it's just kind of coupled. You know, it doesn't feel like it wants to be played. But in some days you can just hit an E chord and it sounds fascinating to you. You know, all the overtones ring and it just sounds great.
It's interesting you say that because in your songs, like Dylan songs, you're using basic, simple chords, but you use them in unexpected ways that I just wouldn't think of. You know, some of your progressions. And
because I'm not a musician.
You really don't consider yourself a musician?
Oh, I don't know. I don't. I'm not trained as a musician, but I do have a pretty good idea just from writing songs for a long time of what chords will go or what scales will go into this key and stuff. But I don't mind running off the road. You know, I think that sometimes if you're a really good musician, I've noticed that they don't like to break rules. But see, I don't have any of that in my head because I don't really know that the rule's there. So I think it's an asset in a way.
It seems like some of the greatest songwriters had no idea of music theory, and that's maybe why they're so great, like the Beatles or
I don't have any idea of it. And I'm also completely content to play two chords for the whole song if that seems to be getting the job done. So I don't think there are any rules. You can do whatever you want as long as the thing's getting over somehow.
But once you do it, it becomes accepted. It's like, well, look, Tom Petty did that, right?
Yeah, he did.
That's all right then. I noticed some of your albums will have certain keys that recur a lot, but they're getting certain keys.
Like Damn the Torpedoes. I think the whole first side of that record's in A.
Oh yeah? This has a lot of C, C major.
Does it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of D major in Wildflowers, I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of D tunings and stuff like that.
One of my favorite ones on this album is Counting on You.
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
great. And then the chorus of that really sounds like some great R&B song or something. That's like, there's a room.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
I got to play those really. Oh, it's cold, Angel. Yeah, don't open it too
It's a little
much.
smoky.
Well, open it just a little, so you'll freeze fall to death. Yeah, I'm cold, you see. Those scabs, I got to play those scabs on that.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was a song I had written the verse for a long time ago.
Oh, really?
So I had that bit, but I didn't have a chorus to it. And I was just sitting around playing it one night, and then that chorus appeared finally.
Wow.
So that was a song that I started in around 88.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And never felt like I had gotten the whole picture, but I knew that little verse thing was good. So I finally got that one done.
Hmm. Do you always keep those pieces and fragments that you
Sure.
finish?
Oh yeah. If you got a good piece, I hang on to everything that's good, and it's like a little way of passing time on the guitar when you're sitting around playing. One of these days, this is going to go into something, and I'm going to find that piece that goes with it, and then do the song.
Because Counting on You, I'm glad you resurrected that, because that's a great chorus. It seems like it.
Well, I see the chorus is new. I didn't have a chorus.
Yeah. That's
But
a great
I
E minor.
finally found a way into it.
Uh-huh. That's a great A minor one. That's a real fun one to play along with.
Mm-hmm. Mike was really good on that. He played some great guitar on that.
Yeah. I think one of my other definite favorites is Rhino Skin.
Yeah, I
Such a
like
cool
Rhino
song.
Skin too.
I think it's just brilliant.
Was this the first one you wrote?
It was one of the first ones.
Oh, yeah?
Long time ago.
It's one of your saddest and funniest songs, too. It's sad and funny.
Yeah, it's dismal and humorous at the same time.
No, they're up to
There were some people in the group that thought the elephant balls line was offensive.
Oh, yeah?
To
elephants?
I don't know. I didn't find it offensive at all. And Rick, he couldn't stand it. He wanted it out. He was like, "Take it out." And I don't know. I couldn't take it out. I tried taking it out, and it didn't sound good to me. So I just said, I'm going to have it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have it in because that's the way I sing it, and it sounds right to me, and I don't think it's offensive or anything. And he couldn't really tell me why. He thought, I think the whole group at one point, there was one evening where everybody was going, you ought to change that line, it cheapens the song, And I got kind of intimidated about it, but in the end, I'm glad I left it there.
Yeah, I think it's a great line, because it reminds me of almost like a line you hear like a guy say to a bar to another guy.
That's what I thought. You need elephant balls if you don't want to crawl. It was like, I just thought it was a conversational type line. I'm glad you got it that way.
Oh yeah, it definitely comes on. And the title too, Rhino Skin, I just think it's such a great title.
Well, you do sometimes need it these days.
It's a cool structure too. The chorus really changes. It's like the chorus goes to F, D minor, but I don't know if that's chorus or bridge, because the words change.
I don't either. I don't know what you'd call that. But yeah, it's a real pretty part there. I love that bit, though. I love when Ben Mott came in with a beautiful Chamberlain part behind that really made it blossom. And so we kept the record extremely spare, you know, where usually on a part like that you'd think a lot of things should come in, but his part was so beautiful, I just said, no, let's leave it very bare and just, you know, let the song do the work here, and it came off kind of cool, I think.
Yeah, it's great. That is a beautiful part, the bridge part. And the words, too, the part about if you listen long enough, you can hear my skin go tough. That was painful to the touch. It must be made of stronger stuff. That's pretty great writing.
Thank you.
And also the Eagles' wings, too. I also like the guitar solo starts on, you know, the lowest note on the guitar.
Yeah, that's me on the 12 string.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then Mike comes in with the other guitar on the other side, which is completely by accident because we couldn't find a rhythm for. I was trying all these different rhythms, and then finally put him on. Mike went over the rhythm guitar, and that's him playing the rhythm guitar with ding, 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 ding. And that started to really work and gel. So I was just kind of trying to show. I had a Fender 12 string, and I was just trying to show them. Okay, well, a solo would probably go here. And so I played that little thing, and then in the end they liked it, and thought, okay, well, we're going to use that as a kickoff, but then the real solo is going to come up over here. So what I played just accidentally worked as counterpoint to his solo.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it sounds cool. It's a great way to start the solo off.
Yeah, so I got a few licks in.
Is that the only song that is solo by you on it?
No, there's one by me at the end of Won't Last Long.
Oh, yeah?
And the very fade out, that's me playing the solo. And I don't know if I had any more. I think that's all I got.
The title song, Echo, is so beautiful, such a great melody.
Thank you.
That's another C major line.
Yeah, it's a long song, you know. It goes on for a while.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it doesn't hold any particular tense. I think it's like it's being sung to lots of different people, and it goes into narrative for a while, and then it'll leave the narrative. But I just thought I'm going to leave this just how it came out. I did no editing on this album, rethinking too much. I just let it come out the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that sounds kind of scary, but a good one, you know. I thought we got such a terrific sound on it. Yeah, even the intro, it just falls in. The piano's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Upright piano we used.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And, we've been trying to play it, you know. We played it live. We just came back for some gigs in San Francisco, and we played it one night, and it is a little bit of a challenge to keep it going for 6 minutes or whatever it is, you know. It's a tricky number to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to have like 2 verses towards the end, and then another verse, you know, where you think you're going to go in the chorus again. It's kind of an interesting structure.
Yeah, it was fun.
A lot of your songs have such cool dynamics, you know, when the band comes in and then it gets sort of tender again. Are those things you're doing, like those kind of arrangements while playing the songs, or does that come later while you're mixing with them?
No, it's all pretty much in the take. We work on that, you know, like usually while we're learning the song or doing it down, if something was particularly good, Rick Rubin, like in Echo, he really had a lot to do with that track because he was quick to pick up on the different dynamics and moods and how they almost sound like another part just because the dynamic changed, you know. So he would kind of make us learn it.
Yeah.
Like let's learn it this way. We're going to go down to this, and Ben's going to just play organ or whatever here. So we always try to get it pretty much in the take. I like everything to be on the tape. even the effects and everything, I like to be recorded right onto the tape. Because, if you're going to use it, you may as well put it on the tape, right? Rather than recapture it at another date or change your mind. Or I like to just make the decisions right there. And that way, anybody can bring the tape up and it's going to sound the way you intended it to sound.
A great example of that is Room at the Top, which is so tender and then gets really rock as fuck, inside the same song. Was that the original conception of it?
No, actually we cut that track straight through, very much like, the first and last verses are kind of soft and tender. And we cut it all like that, straight through.
Ah.
And then Rick had this idea of, Mike, what if you really slam this heavy guitar over the second verse? And so that was really Rick's idea. And so Rick and Mike tried this guitar and we all got really excited. It sounded great. So we went back and changed the bass line through there and a couple other things, I think the piano, just to accommodate the heavy chords. And then we had a whole different record.
Yeah. Yeah. But originally it was all tender all the way through, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of almost country-ish all the way through.
It's interesting, his guitar part that he comes in on. To me, what he's doing is kind of this descending thing he's playing.
And then I think, because I've been playing acoustic, strumming the acoustic. I went back and took the acoustic out because, Scott Thurston's playing some kind of electric guitar right there in the top of it. It sounds like it's through a Leslie or some effect. And when I took my acoustic off, though we had cut to the acoustic, when I took it off, I got a whole other feel that it was less common, I thought, than the acoustic strumming all the way through. So I took it out. And we just kind of did a reshuffle on it. But we were all tremendously pleased with Room at the Top. We got, I still think that was one of the better moments of the album. I was just really tickled by how that came out.
It's great sounding.
It's a good example of the Heartbreakers at work. Like on my own, I never arrived at that arrangement of the song. But they really took it to somewhere that I'd have never got to by myself.
And doing it that way with him coming in on the second verse, it's kind of like, here's Tom, here's the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
It's cool to just step
Bam.
in. The way the drums kick in.
Yeah.
By the way, his drumming throughout just sounds great. He sounds so linked to you throughout the whole album.
He's good. Steve Ferroni.
Yeah.
He's so good.
The way he just kicks in at certain moments.
And we're teaching him to never play drum fills. Just like, Steve? No.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he wants to play more than...
Just play this, and he'll go, really? That's all you want? No, that's all I want. I don't want you to ever play anything else. Just play that. But he's got such a good natural feel, and he's really good in the studio. He's really quick, and his time is immaculate. We can really count on him to hold the time.
Yeah, it's so solid. He's playing. But he wants to play more. The drummers are like that.
The drummers are like that.
Yeah.
They kind of want to put in extra things, and sometimes I'll indulge it, but
It's funny hearing that because I just thought, boy, he just has the perfect feel for each song. It's funny to hear that he kind of would have wanted to come up with more and holding them back. We were talking about Lonesome Sundown earlier, and some of the lyrics in that one, that verse about redemption comes to those who wait. Did that just come easy with the song when you're working on that? That's quite a powerful verse. Forgiveness is the key.
Yeah, it kind of just came with the song. I think I was thinking kind of deep there. I kind of gotten into that zone and it just all started coming. But I was going through a lot in my life when I wrote that too. I'm just trying, I went through a divorce like the year before, and I was trying to just settled into a new life, you know.
Mhm.
And so some of that is reflected in the songs, I think.
Yeah.
And my relationship with my children, you know, and just. But I didn't want to write one of those I just got divorced albums, you know. So I consciously tried to stay away from it, but some of it creeps in.
Mm-hmm. There was definitely sad moments throughout the album.
Yeah. Yeah, it's down sometimes.
Yeah.
It's kind of bleak sometimes.
but with a lot of hope. Like I found Lonesome Sundown a very hopeful song.
Well, yeah, and sometimes I notice that even within one song, because I may be thinking about different people or different things within the scope of one song, you know, like one verse will be happy, and then the next one might be, you know, a little bit melancholy, and because there's a lot of good things going on in my life too, you know. I mean, I'm actually pretty happy now. I'm kind of skating along well now, I think.
Good.
So,
Yeah, the album has a certain.
well, I
it
think
has a happiness.
there's hope in the songs.
Yeah.
There's some kind of hope in it. Yeah. The words changed several times in that song. But I finally got it the way I liked it, you know. That was one of the more, I think I worked on that one more than I did all the others.
Oh yeah. I mean lyrically.
Lyrically, I did, yeah.
And also that verse about I stand accused outside the law. That's a great verse.
Yeah, well, I felt that way sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
You know?
I heard that you said at the Storytellers thing that Room at the Top was a song about escapism.
Yeah.
Is that how you think of it?
I think that was where the Germany idea came from. Yeah. That's just got pissed off one night. Went over to my studio, I had a little studio over on the other side of the house. Just went there and started banging on the piano, and that's what came out.
Oh yeah?
Room at the Top.
You wrote it on piano?
Yeah, I wrote it on piano.
Good.
And the only key I'm really good at, C, you know. Actually, that song on piano, I've probably been playing that song for about, 100 years on the piano.
Oh really?
And I never knew it, until one day Jeff Lynne, because I'd go in and sit down at the piano. And anytime I sit at the piano, without realizing it, I'd be noodling that tune, Room at the Top. Those chords, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Lynne to me said one day, we were going to write some songs. He goes, "You want to do this one? Do that one?" And I said, what one? He goes, "That one you keep playing on the piano." And I wasn't aware I was playing anything. And I said, "That's not a song. I was just moving around chords." He goes, "No, you kind of do the same thing every time."
Yeah.
And I think that night I caught it finally, because I was just unconscious to what I was doing, and I was playing at the piano, had my little cassette deck on, and I was singing along, but later on I realized that's that song I always sit down and play in the key of C.
Did it have words?
No, well it does now. I mean,
It's just music.
no, I never even had a tune.
Oh,
No, nothing. I
just
just
chords.
noodled around. But Jeff thought I played pretty much the same thing every time. I didn't realize it was.
It's got such a beautiful lyric, too. The Room at the Top, in some ways, it seems like an escape, but it also seems like something someone earns, you know? It's not like underground or somewhere.
No,
it's at the
no,
top
no,
of the
no.
world.
Yeah. No, it evolved into more. I think that was just a joke at Storytellers. I said, this is a song about escapism. It's called Escapism.
That's a cool guitar solo on that one, too, Room at the Top.
Oh, wow.
That's two guitars, too, that solo, isn't it?
Yeah, that's two.
Yeah.
And we actually cut it down. It's twice that long.
Oh, yeah?
And I hated to do it, but I just thought it was good. They're alternating between Ben's playing clavinet and Mike's playing guitar, and they're trading lines back and forth.
Oh, that's a clavinet.
Yeah, it's a clavinet to a guitar amp.
Oh.
So it's Mike plays a figure and then Ben plays a figure. And originally it went on twice as long as that. And they really played some great stuff, but I just thought it was a little too long. It just unbalanced the song a little bit, so I had to cut it down. But they're such great players.
Yeah.
It scared me sometimes.
Yeah, I thought it was two guitars.
No, it's a clavinet. Well, there is two guitars as well. There's another, I think he did two passes on the guitar, and by mistake someone left both of them on one time, and I thought they sounded great. You know, both of them on, so we just mixed in a little bit of the extra guitar in one. I think just two phrases that he played.
Great. Did you think of Echo as being the title song when you came up with it? Or did...
No, I think I even wrote Echo after I titled the album Echo.
Really? No? I'm just sending a opinion.
I'm trying to remember. No, I did. I had the song already. But I had a whole different idea when I titled the album, because they had the computer, you know, up in the studio, and they have it such, now they have all these gizmos in the studio where you can like see your voice print come out when you sing, and they had some echo on something, and I saw the voice print come up on the screen, and then the echo print come right under it, you know, and they looked really great to me, like they made these great colors, and it looked like an old, like 50s jazz album cover to me, like, you know, whoosh, whoosh. And I went, oh, that'd be a great cover, and Mike said, yeah, he goes, what would you call it? I said, Echo, because it's echoing, you know, and then I thought, Echo, and then we actually, you know, got down and I took a magic marker and wrote the band's name on the screen of the computer, and then we started taping things to it, you know, like we cut out Echo and taped that on there, and then we took a Polaroid of it, and then printed that out to the computer. And we were going to do the cover ourselves, you know. But unfortunately, it wouldn't reproduce very well because, you know, I was writing on glass and everything. So, but that was where the idea to call the album Echo came from.
That was after you wrote the song.
Yes, as I've just been corrected.
You're listening to The Great Song Adventure with Tom Petty from the archives today. It's great to hear Tom laugh. That makes me happy.
Yeah, he seemed like he was in a really good place that day when you spoke to him. You know, I love the story about him wanting to write a song when he had to go into the studio the next day. Imagine if you had the Heartbreakers as your band, you'd want to write a song for them to play because they're one of the greatest rock bands ever.
Exactly, and I think that's the key to why those albums are so great. Because he wasn't laboring to, oh God, I have to write another song, I have to record it. He was just loving it. Another song to play with these guys. And then he would come up with stuff that would really excite him, like Accused for Love. When he said he had that title, it just made him so happy. Or Swingin', you know, so many great songs, Rhino Skin. So he was loving the writing and loving the recording. And as we said earlier, that joy is in those tracks. You can feel that.
I love Swinging, and I love the story of how he just made up all the lyrics on the spot and that it ended up being one of his favorite songs. It's always a great thing when you know a writer really has their craft down and they have those gifts where something comes and it turns out to be, you know, on their favorites list of things they've written.
Yeah, it's a remarkable thing about songwriting that, you know, often it could take a long time to come up and make a song perfect. But sometimes a song can come through almost immediately. And it didn't happen a lot for Tom, but occasionally it did. Southern accents, he said, just came to him. And Swingin', it came to him while he was playing, like we were saying, in the studio, even though the Heartbreakers were on something else totally. And they improvised the whole song, even Howie doing the harmonies. And And it's one thing to make up a song, but he's got the structure too. You know, the choruses come back. It's kind of amazing. And he just says it's just a gift, but it's a gift that comes to a real songwriting genius. You know, that gift would not just come through anyone and come out like that. And the other thing that's funny is it comes so easy, you tend to distrust it. I know you might feel this too. If something just comes through, you think, how good could that be? I didn't even work on that one. But sometimes those are the greatest.
Well, sometimes the things that come easiest to us are things that are hard for other people. And I think there's a tendency when something comes easy to you to not understand its value because, you know, I'm not working out. I could do this. I know how to cook. I know how to write a song. But it doesn't come easy to everyone else. And it's important to remember what your gifts are and really nurture them, nourish them.
Yeah. Tom was so humble. He would never say, well, I got that because I'm a genius. You know, I'm great at this. He was very humble about it and grateful for the gift. But I think in retrospect, a big part of it is certain people just have a genius for the thing, words and music. And he certainly had that. So we're going to go into the next half of the interview. We have a lot to go. And he's talking, we had talked about echo, so I used that as kind of a transition to talk about how he rarely had echo or reverb on his vocals. That's where we're going to go next.
You're listening to The Great Song Adventure, and we're going now to the second half of Tom Petty in 1999.
You're kind of known for not having a lot of echo or reverb on your vocals.
There's not much on the album. There's very little.
I thought it was interesting that Wildflowers won of its 2 Grammys. One was for Best Engineered Album. Of all things to single out, people really love the sound of how it was engineered.
Well, we really spent, I was very pleased about that because we really spent a lot of time on the sound of that album, you know, of making it sound rich and textured. And we may use a delay now and then. We're not as opposed to delay as we are reverb. I think that what they call echo in the studio now is really just reverb. That doesn't sound sophisticated enough for them, but I think that it can really cheapen your record if you don't watch it, you know, with reverb.
A lot of stuff. So I Don't Want to Fight is something that Mike Campbell wrote alone.
Yeah.
You didn't write that with him at all.
You know what I wrote? I'm a lover, lover, lover.
That's my favorite part. I love how he sings that.
I put that bit in.
Oh, yeah? That kind of makes it.
I thought so. But he had really done the whole song, you know. I didn't think it was fair to take credit for it, but I did help him with that line.
But usually he writes music, he doesn't write words to it, right?
Now he sings it too, so.
Yeah. How come he wrote his own lyric on that instead of giving you the music like he normally does?
Because he's trying to get more into singing, and so I guess he just writes words to sing, you know, practice, and he makes tapes at home. And this was one where he sent me over this tape of stuff he'd written just to listen to. And I thought that was such a killer song, you know, but I think his went, I don't want to fight with you, you know, and I thought, well, that's not as good. It should be, I don't want to fight, I'm a lover, 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 you know, and that really cracked him up when I said, how about that? And he went, yeah, perfect. And then he sang that, and it really did sound good. So that's one of my favorite songs on the record, really.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we were playing it live, you know. And it's so much fun, you know.
It's amazing how much his vocal sounds like you.
That's what I keep telling him. It's like everything he plays me sounds like me.
He doesn't think it does?
Huh?
Does he not hear it?
Oh.
I don't think he hears it as much as I do, but
The other songs on the tape
it
are identical.
really does. You
I
know?
didn't even know it was him the first time I heard the album.
No, nobody ever notices it, but it's him singing, and I don't know if that's maybe because we've been in the same band so long, but the stuff he plays me, sometimes it's uncanny how much the vocal sounds like me.
It's kind of like Miami Steve, you know, when he sings, sounds like Springsteen, you know.
Does he?
Maybe it's being linked with some guy for so many years.
Yeah.
It's funny, I've heard people like refer to like the Mike Campbell, Tom Petty thing, like in bands, like I'm kind of the Mike Campbell and I give the guy, you know, tracks. That's become like a way of explaining a collaboration, you know?
Yeah.
Between songwriters.
But you know, we don't just, the track thing is, we do that, but often I take the tracks apart and like rewrite a lot of them, or, you know, or I might write the bridge. Sometimes there's no bridge in those tracks, or I might change a chord. You know, it's not that often that we stick religiously to the track.
Mm-hmm.
It has happened a few times, but it's not that often.
I think that's a great lesson in songwriting, that part, adding the lover, lover, lover. How one little part can just turn a whole song around. Like in you rapping, like that one word can make such a huge
You change the whole thing. You just need...
Because that's funny and it just wraps the whole thing up.
Yeah, that's the great thing about collaboration and having other people to bounce things off. Is sometimes, you know, oh, great, that was a great line.
Mm-hmm. You know, you mentioned how in Rhino Skin people wanted to get rid of that one line. And I was wondering how you manage to keep perspective and how you manage to know what's right and what isn't when you're surrounded by a lot of people telling you different things and you seem to have, you know, your own instinct about what you want.
Well, that was one that I really did, you know, wrestle with. But it was easy because I never came up with anything better. If I'd have come up, I'm not opposed to criticism, you know, or anything like that, and I go away and I work and I try to find a line. Okay, well, if it's really not right, let me try to find a line to replace it with. And there was nothing came in that strong to me.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that bell ringing over and over? And so if I'd have come up with a line that was better, I would have gone with it. But nothing sounded as good. It happened on that on Wildflowers. Rick didn't like. You don't know how it feels to be me.
Oh, that's right.
He didn't want it to say to be me. He thought it was egotistical.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I said, no, it's the opposite. It's not egotistical. People won't hear it as me.
Mm-hmm.
They'll hear it as them. You know, and so I actually went away and tried to rewrite that song. Tried to rewrite that line. Tried to find something better because I thought Rick might have a point. Maybe he knows something I don't. And nothing. And then the song was discarded. I've probably told you this story, you know. It was just discarded till the last minute. But I'm glad I stuck to my guns.
Yeah, a huge hit.
But I'm also not, you know, such an egomaniac that I won't, you know, if I have changed things for the better, you know. Sometimes somebody will have an idea and then you go back and you work and you do find something better.
I was thinking of that line.
Not much, but sometimes.
There's that line of One More Day, One More Night, where you say, God, I've had to fight to keep my line of sight on what's real. And, you know, I see, even in my side of it, you know, in this town, there's just so much music and so many CDs. It's easy to lose sight of the meaning, how much meaning music can have to someone outside of the system. I was wondering if you're able to understand, you know, how much impact an album has to some guy out there, you know, in Kansas or something that gets it.
I hope I do. I mean, I know what they meant to me, and I still do. I mean, I know how, you know, a record to me is to just, you know, you can't even weigh up the value, you know, because of being inspired by something. So I hope it's still like that people still, you know, get albums and really get moved by it. I know they do.
Oh, yeah.
Because too many people tell me about it.
Yeah, your albums...
I make them for me, you know, and if I get off on it, I figure, well, there's got to be somebody else that's going to feel the same way.
Yeah. And your albums sound like you care about what's there, but Also, that there's humans playing. It doesn't sound like this big contrived thing that was put together by an engineer in the studio with a lot of machines.
Well, it ain't. It's just
the soul of people.
It's human to a fault, really. It's just a bunch of lugheads playing, you know.
But the thing about your band is that they're such great players that if it's a solo album or a Heartbreakers album, their playing is at such a high level that it always sounds great.
They're great, you know. We got one of the best rock and roll bands now, I think, that there is.
Yeah.
I say unashamedly. You know, they're a really ridiculously good band.
Yeah. So a lot of songwriters really needed to get away from their original bands to grow musically, but it seems the Heartbreakers are really capable of doing pretty much anything you want to do.
They get better and better and better. And we're at a point in our life now, I mean, almost 25 years down the line, where it's really easier for us to make records.
Oh, yeah?
You know, things come easier to us. It's kind of a nice payoff, you know, like we can get more, I think we get closer to what we had in our head in the first place now, and it comes with less agony, you know. Like say back when we were kids doing it was, you know, and sometimes agony, you know, it was really hard work to get it to sound good and to get it sound away. But now it's kind of like rolling downhill sometimes. It's nice.
And you can feel that in the music when you hear the records and the writing too. That it wasn't something that was painful. That it was joyful.
No, you want it to be fun.
Yeah.
So it will sound that way, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual when you say that it's gotten easier, because in truth there aren't many other people of your peers that continue to be as good or get better the way you do. Most of them had a lot of hits, and then they kind of, you know, aren't able to live up to that, especially after having big success.
Well, yeah, I suppose it's different for everybody. You know, I mean, I guess it's different situations too. You know?
Mm-hmm. Is it that, I mean, do you have any explanation of how you're able to stay kind of in the center of your thing without getting kind of losing sight of the whole thing or losing touch with it?
I think it's luck or something. I don't know. You know what? I think the best explanation for it is I still really enjoy it. It hasn't become a job. It's never become 9 to 5-ish. It's something I really do enjoy doing. And I do it anyway, you know. So I think that's probably the only explanation I've got is the band is very happy. We like the band, you know. We don't want to like kick anybody out or you know. And we really enjoy doing it. So maybe that has sustained us in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Art Garfunkel was talking about Paul Simon once and said he thought Simon just had a kind of a natural instinct for writing something that was popular, had popular appeal. Do you think it's just kind of a natural instinct you have? Because even when stuff is easier, it just comes out like swinging. Like right there, that good, you know, it's a great sounding record. It's like an instant hit almost.
I'm still baffled by that. I think that it was just one of those moments where, you know, we had a really good stand up and we were all wanting to play and we didn't really have anything to play. And I feel subconsciously I really wanted to play something, you know, and so it just leaked out. But that's so kind of cosmic, I don't even know how to explain ad-libbing songs. I've gotten where I can actually do that. I don't know how much to trust it yet, but I can actually do that.
You think you've developed that from doing it so much, from writing so many songs, and kind of get that engine going and it keeps going?
Maybe, but I mean, I'm not doing it, when I do it, I'm not doing it with much intention, you know, I'm not doing it in a hackish way, I'm not trying to like, all right, I want to write a song real fast, it's just something that happens, or like, if the band's going to jam a bit, you know, like, sometimes we'll just play chord patterns to warm up or whatever. I'll throw down some chords for them and, you know, everybody will be warming up. I like to just make up little songs anyway, you know, and I'll make up verses just to have something to sing while we're doing it. And I think I learned to do it that way. But I don't really know. I can't give you a positive answer on it. It's one of those magical musical things.
The swinging, it's in D and it goes to A minor, which is kind of a different change. You go from a D to an A minor.
Yeah, A minor.
Yeah. Are you always kind of trying to find new kind of patterns? Is that something you're intentionally doing? Or?
Yeah, it was just some chords, you know, like I was sitting there playing completely opposite what everybody else was playing. Like I think they were even in another key.
Oh yeah?
And there was no real beat going on at the moment. And it was just chaos, you know, like dissonance, you know, like everybody just noise and getting plugged in, and maybe two people were playing together on something else, and then I had this, oh, this sounds good with the guitar sound I had up, you know, these chords sound good. And I just kept playing them because I couldn't really communicate any other way with them. And I just kept playing, and then finally I could hear them one by one and pick up on this chord thing, and then the drums fell in, and we were on our way.
Wow. It's a funny lyric, too, with swinging with Benny Goodman, with Sonny Liston.
Yeah, those were all ad-lib things that just came out of nowhere. I wish I'd have got Dizzy Gillespie on that.
You mentioned how, you know, you work on this stuff, but not in a hackish way, and I think that's remarkable about it, that it never sounds contrived at all. But even so, when I check out your chords, I realize you're doing some really crafty things, you know. For example, like in Echo, the way you build up to the chorus with the F and the G, you know, it's kind of classic tension release.
Yeah.
But it never sounds like it was contrived or hackish, like you said.
No, I usually pick that up pretty fast. And that's one thing that takes time, you know, because when you recognize those features, you kind of just throw the idea out. I just, like, if it's starting to sound labored or something, I'll just leave it completely. Go somewhere else. I'll rush you, don't think. So that's the trick, is find something always sounds fresh.
Does it seem to you, I mean, we only have so many guitar chords that we know that...
Not many out there.
that it's possible that those chords that we've been playing for so many years, they keep coming up with new stuff?
Well, you shouldn't be afraid of them. You know, some really good musicians I've noticed are afraid of that. Or they think that, like real good guitar players and stuff, they think that they're supposed to find some chord that never fit in a progression before.
Right.
But, you know, there's a reason why it never fit in there before. Don't work. Yeah, don't sound good.
So true.
I've had this discussion many times. It's like, well, the reason that chord doesn't come up much is it's not too damn good in there, you know, like. So I don't worry about that, you know. I just, most songs are based around 3 or 4 chords anyway, with a lot of transitional chords, you know. So if I started thinking about that, I'd go nuts. I just try to support the melody. Let's support the melody, you know, what makes a nice tune. Because you got to have a tune, and the chords alone won't do it.
Mm-hmm. So when you're finding the chords, you're really thinking melodically, what's going to...
Oh yeah, and lyrically.
Huh.
Because, I don't know, it's like if I write lyrics first, it's real hard for me to find the music that feels like the lyrics. It's much easier for me to let the music dictate the lyric in some way. You know, these words will float to this music.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to do them somewhat at the same time, as much as I can.
That's reflected in the songs too, where the words and the music go together so well.
That's the best way, if you really get them at the same time. Those are going to hold up the best.
Rhino Skin definitely is an example of that, with that kind of melody, that A minor kind of, kind of heavy melody, kind of slow. That's funny what you said about chords, because I know a lot of songwriters too that are trying to impress other guitar players or other songwriters with how cool their chords are.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything if the melody's not good.
Right.
That'll only like impress some guitar player. And they don't buy records anyway. But you gotta like, he said laughing at me. But it's not about being a guitar player when you're writing a song. It's about the song. So I read last night. I was reading Mike Campbell's interview in Guitar Player, where they're asking him about all these kind of technical things, you know, like recording things and stuff. And he says, well, really, it doesn't take a lot. You know, I'm paraphrasing him, but I mean, he says something like it doesn't take that much vision to put a mic on a speaker, you know, like to put a mic out on a guitar. Is that if you got a good guitar, you're probably going to get a good sound. And he goes, but what really takes what the struggle really is to have something worthwhile to play when you go back to record, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've always thought that songwriting, like if you looked at rock and roll, you know, like it kind of took, songwriting suffered somewhat in the Guitar Hero stage. Like when, I mean, I think Jimi Hendrix wrote great songs and all that, but you had a lot of people try to emulate him that really weren't on that level, and mm-hmm. A lot of guitar players left like song structure for lead guitar playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed for a long time to me that the songs were kind of just there to support this, you know, different virtuosos on the instrument. And virtuosos, I mean, there's not very many that are really that good. And, you know, so I think songwriting suffered probably for, you know, 5 or 6 years because of that stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. Whereas they missed the point, you know, like Hendrix had great songs, you know. Right. Even if he wasn't a great guitar player, they would have been great songs. Mm-hmm. And that's what's for, you know, that's why it's such beautiful music.
Mm-hmm. It's a hard lesson for songwriters to learn, because you think, you know, being clever or doing something that no one's ever done is really what it's about at first. So you realize being simple and making it sound right is really what you're trying to do. And that's a hard lesson, I think.
It is. It takes a little time to figure that out.
But you seem to have always kind of understood that from the start.
Well, I wasn't that accomplished on the guitar, and I think it was a help to me in some ways, because I had to work with a real basic knowledge of music. I'm a lot more knowledgeable now than I was when I started out, but I remember writing songs when I was, you know, 15 or 16 because I didn't know anybody else's. You know, like I didn't really know that many songs, and so I'd take the few chords I knew and just rearrange them and fool around with them and try to make things up, because I really didn't know that many songs.
When you were first starting?
Yeah, when I was first starting to play guitar.
Yeah.
But I did that right away. You know, I think I learned one song, and then in the interim of like learning another one, I was already trying to make up my own.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you said your first chords were like C, F, and G, and you wrote your first song with those chords. Immediately. And
right away.
That's uncommon among songwriters. If they start writing, the second they got an instrument, you know, it just started. That seems to be common. Right immediately, the songs are coming.
Yeah, I was going to see what I could do with it.
But then when you were in Mudcrutch and stuff, you did learn lots of covers, right?
Oh,
really?
God, yeah.
Yeah, that was a little later.
Well, even before Mudcrutch, I mean, we had to play covers. I started playing groups when I was 14. Mm-hmm. And you had to do other people's songs to work. Mm-hmm. So I really did have to learn a lot of songs.
Did that affect your own writing, learning all those songs?
Sure, yeah. I think everybody should do that.
Yeah, it's a good education for
Yeah.
songwriting.
Start understanding what makes this good.
Yeah. Did you write songs for years before you started performing them?
Yeah, kind of closet songwriter. I might bust one out, and sometimes the band would learn one, maybe play one. But I didn't feel my material was really ready for the public for quite a while, I worked on it for a while. And it's like when I came out, yesterday was 25 years, anniversary of us leaving Florida to come to LA.
Wow. Historic day.
And I had a lot of songs when I came out, but I don't think maybe one that was worth recording.
Oh, yeah?
I went through a lot of writing that was pretty medium, medium stuff. And it was only after I got here and started to, Denny Cordell taught me a lot about, this is the song, here's the difference between this and what ought to be good. It sounds like it all ought to work, but it's just not working.
That's another good lesson for songwriters, that you write a lot of songs, but maybe a lot of bad songs for years. Some people think they should start writing and come up with classics immediately.
Yeah, or you may just get that one little piece of the bad song may be really good. And so, if you chop the rest of it away and just keep that one little piece, you may have a whole song right there. Or you may just use it later on down the road somewhere, and when you're stuck, you know, that little piece I have. Jeff Lynne taught me that like every bit of the song ought to be as good as the other bits. So when you go to write a middle A, if it's not going to be as good as the chorus, don't put it in. Leave it out. And I thought that was a good lesson.
Right.
And I tried to stick to it. Like, well, yeah, if this part ain't as good as that part, we really would be better off playing that part again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another good thing to realize. Because your verses are always as strong as your choruses. Where a lot of people have weak verses, and then the big chorus comes.
Well, I think if your other part isn't as good as the part before it, you may as well just not have that part. And your song would be better.
You've also shown how you can take a verse that with the same chords and turn it into a chorus, like in Free Girl Now, where the chords stay the same but the melody shifts. Which feels really good, when you do that. I think like Running Down a Dream kind of does that.
Free Falling does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of songs like that. And I love them. The chord pattern is basically the same, but there's a freedom of melody. Melody actually picks it up and moves it.
Yeah. Well, that's a great feeling. You kind of set the foundation first, and then you kind of take off. And that's another one songwriters would think, well, you got to change the chords for the chorus. Your song has shown us stuff.
You're changing the melody.
Yeah. Definitely.
So you don't need to change the chords.
You've written so many songs that are hits. You've got like a really huge amount of songs that are official hits, and then a million other great songs that were on your albums that weren't hits. When it comes time to do a concert, how do you figure out what to do?
Usually just by what we feel like playing. You want to play enough stuff that that people know that they came down to see. But I'm trying to, since we do have so many songs, I try to use it to our advantage in that if we're really burnt on something, let's just recycle. We'll take that out of the set and use another popular one. So we don't play them all. there isn't time to play them all, but you just play the ones that feel the freshest usually.
Well, there's certain ones that are such big hits and such a part of you that you know, yeah, you kind of have to do that one.
Well, you do and you don't. I mean, I guess, like we haven't played Refugee for a long time now. And I used to think that has to be in every show, but it really doesn't. Though now, it's been so long since we played it, I wouldn't mind playing it, because I think I could get interested in it again.
Mm-hmm.
Breakdown is the same thing. We played Breakdown the other night, and we hadn't played that in a long time. And I've forgotten what a popular song it is, because the place just went apeshit when we played it, and thought, well, we'll have to do this more often, because we laid it down for so many years that it feels fresh again.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that even the songs have that effect on you. Now that you said it's been 25 years that we've heard some of those songs. They've been part of our life for so long. And when you hear that famous opening riff or something, it brings you back to a part of your own life. And
it does the same thing to me. I go back to a part of my life. It's like, oh yeah, Breakdown.
Yeah, right. When I first moved to LA, my girlfriend had your first albums, and she was really hot on the Heartbreakers. And I always think of that, coming to LA and hearing your music. You posted Pre-Girl now on MP3, which is like a wonderful revolutionary thing to do. And a lot of people, as you know, are scared that that's going to dismantle the whole record industry and destroy the world as we know it.
Well, the record industry without radio is going to dismantle the record industry. They thought no one would need records anymore. They thought blank tape was going to do the same thing.
Right. And then when that came, there was another kind
There's another one. I don't think this is the case, that it's going to dismantle the record industry. I think that I understand their concern with protection and wanting to be paid and everything, but I think if you can turn people on to music, it's only going to, in the end, going to sell more music. The Free Girl Now thing was just, it was kind of, I don't know, I saw it as like, it had been explained to me that singles don't sell, that they break even at best, they don't make money.
Mm-hmm.
The pop chart now is just an airplay chart.
Yeah.
They don't take a poll on what the singles sold. They're just promotional tools for selling albums. So if this is the case, I thought, well, why don't we just put it on MP3, and then it would be a great promotion for the album, and everybody could hear the song if they like.
Mm-hmm.
And they had such an overwhelming response to it, hundreds of thousands of people in a day just downloading like crazy, and so, and then, I think we were politely advised that it would be a good idea not to do that, but...
Are you a record company?
Yeah, I mean, I must say they were very, because we didn't ask permission, we just did it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really polite about it. They weren't jerks at all, but they kind of just said, that's funny, Tom, But
did they say don't do it again?
No, they just said we really think you ought to take it off.
Oh, yeah?
Really, maybe give it a rest.
And did you?
Yeah, I had to.
But did they see any value in using it as a promotional tool? That would cause people to buy the
I
record?
think the thing with the record companies is that they want to do their own version of MP3. So it's competitive, between the companies. So since I am signed to that record company, I thought, well, okay, I did push my boundaries a little bit. I took a few liberties, but nobody got happy with me.
On your own part, is there any fear though that if people get your album and use MP3 to just put your whole album there, that people won't need to go out and buy it? They can just start getting your music.
Well, I didn't put my whole album there. I just put a
No, I mean,
CD
but the MP3 itself, beyond what you did, that other people could, once they buy your CD, could potentially put it there or use technology just to distribute it without going to
there is that danger. If people want to be nasty, they could really be nasty. But I think that very quickly they will come up with ways of protecting the work and having it there, letting people download it, but the work's protected and it's accountable and you pay for it. But what a great thing if people get your music that quick.
It's great for young songwriters or any age songwriters that don't have record deals but want to get their music out too. It offers them a music.
It's what we always dreamed of, you can do it all right from one room.
Yeah.
There it goes. I think in the future, young groups will deal with the computers as much as record companies. That's going to be the record company. And I think it's going to give everybody a lot of freedom. And it's going to be very interesting, probably. I mean, I don't even know how to turn a computer on.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that it's going to be very interesting what the role it plays in the music business.
Posting it seemed like a nice thing to do for your fans, just like when you made the record company out and raised the price of your album years ago, and you're one of the few guys that think more about the fans and what's going to make a lot of money for the record company.
Well, they're what keeps it going, man. I mean, some people lose sight of that.
A lot of people.
It's all about these people that are good enough to lay down some money for your stuff, that are just. If you don't have them, there really is no ball game. There's nothing going on.
A lot of artists, I think they're so far in that room at the top of the world that they don't have any sight of the people that are up there with them. They lose sight completely of the mass public.
Yeah, you want to treat your fans like people, like you respect them, and I also would hope that we treat them like they're fairly intelligent. I don't like this idea that the masses are stupid, because they're not.
Right.
Some of them are, but in a given room of people, there's going to be some smart guys in there too. I like to think, like when I'm in the room, that I'm a fairly smart guy, and there's people that know better. So rather than shoot at the lowest common denominator, which is something that I don't know the music business does that often, why not shoot at the highest? Because what do you got to lose? I mean, what's this going to go over people's heads? It's just rock and roll music. It's not supposed to be that good. I mean,
I think that's one thing that makes your music good, because you don't personally hold it in such a high as, this is great art. Therefore, you can be easier about it. Some people are so precious about their work.
Well, I think it's art, and I'm close to my work, and I care about it and all that, but it's like I said, I don't think it's supposed to be that good. It's an alternative music. Rock and roll music, it's not classical music.
Well, to our generation, it is an alternative. It is the main thing.
Yeah, but it didn't start out that way. I mean, if you want to get really pure about it, it's dissonant music. It's dissonant. It's blue notes. It bends the notes.
Yeah.
So how much are we going to worry about it? I just think as long as it's got some soul to it, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's so simple. You can walk right by it.
But the thing about your music, I find, is that it seems deceptively simple. Where you hear the album once, you go, "Oh, that was great."
Yeah, I hear that about us too. Like, their music's so simple. We'll try to play it sometime.
That's it. When you start to sit down and play your chords, even like a song like "The Lonesome Sundown" or "Accused of Love," it's like, well, it's pretty crafty. You feel all those chords in there, and then the structure.
Trying to get one over. I mean, it's not that easy to do, but I do see it. They write really simple songs. Well, they're simple, I guess, in a way, but take your group and try to play one. It does take a bit of craft.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to it. There's also something about the chords you use and chords that Dylan uses and folk rock chords in general that just have kind of a visceral feeling to them that kind of gets you in your gut. Whereas if you're hearing a lot of diminished sevenths and things or certain other kinds of music, this doesn't hit you in the same way.
Yeah.
When you write it, when you finish a good one, does that give you a feeling of triumph or happiness?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah? How long does that last? Does it last very long before you have to write
It
another?
lasts for years. It's really, really good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I'll hear stuff and go, hear something on the radio and just can't believe that I wrote that. I go, God, that was a good one. How did I do that?
And the same thing with an album. When you finish an album, does it give you kind of a feeling of triumph for a while?
Yeah, because I've done it long enough now to know that these things are going to be around a lot longer than me. And, it's something that wasn't there, and now it's there. That's what's great about music and composing in the first place is that something that wasn't there a few minutes ago is there.
Yeah.
Painting or anything. I love that whole thing about art. Is that you just created something, and now it's here, and it'll probably be here longer than you. Or you could just throw it away and make another one.
I found the sequencing of this album is really great.
Oh, thank you. I spent Mike and me and Rick sat and spent a pretty good chunk of time sequencing.
Yeah, the three of you?
We were pretty pleased when we finally got it.
Yeah, it just flows.
Yeah, that's good, because we didn't have the faintest idea other than we knew how it was going to end.
How do you figure out a sequence?
Oh, I don't know.
That's a hard question.
I don't know if there's any rules. You just kind of, got to start somewhere, what feels like the right place to start, and then you just pray that, you're going to find one that it flows into, that they keep flowing. It's a lot better now with CDs,
Without a break in sides, you mean?
No, I mean, you can, now in the studio, rather than bringing tapes home, they put your roughs on CD, so you can program your CD real quick to try lots of sequences really fast, where it used to be a really slow process of cutting tape together.
Sure. Do you pay attention to what key one song is to the next song, those kind of things?
Yeah, I do. If as long as it's moving right, but sometimes you go, no, this key is too samey, or too many minor chords. Over the space of time isn't good, you want to change. I like the album to have, I always look at it like a beginning, a middle, and an end. I want to have a beginning, I want to hit a definite middle, and then I want to have a conclusion. So that's a good little trick. If you use that, that'll help the sequence.
We're listening to the second half now of Tom Petty in 1999.
I liked where that one ended. He was talking about sequencing the album, which is something non-songwriters and musicians might not think about, but Tom was really invested in every single part of putting together a record. And as he said, he loved albums. He liked like a play. It should have a beginning and an end. And the sequence is what order you hear the songs in. And that's a whole art to itself. How much time there is between the songs and which ones follow best. So I thought that was a good place to end.
It was great, too. He talked about taking the photograph of writing on the computer with what the album cover could be. And sometimes when you're doing something, you don't know what it is until it's over. And in the middle of it, it's almost like having it talk to you. And I love that he talked about beginning, middle, and end. What is this thing we're making here? Yeah,
that's so true. Making an album or writing songs, it's a journey of discovery a lot. You're discovering a lot. You're not just planning everything out. And that's kind of the fun and the magic of the thing, too. So it's really great to get to bring Tom. I I'm in touch with so many Tom Petty fans, so I hope they'll enjoy that. And it's the first of many. That was from 92, and then we spoke a lot of times when we worked on the book over the next years. So that's our first episode of many with Tom.
You're listening to The Great Song Adventure.
And it has been a good adventure getting to talk to great songwriters. And Louise and I were going to be talking to some great legendary songwriters, and we got a lot of those coming up, but also dipping into the archives. And I got 30 years of archives, remarkably. And so the next one we're going to hear is Leonard Cohen, also recorded at his home in Los Angeles. And that's a very special one.
Thank you for listening. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We're The Great Song Adventure. Also on YouTube. We'd like to thank our engineer, Peter Chun, and Dave Way for making the archive audio clear for us all to hear.
And special thanks to Mary Clauser, who was Tom Petty's manager for many, many years and set up every one of my interviews. It was just a wonderful person to work with.
We're going to have a Great Song Adventure playlist on Spotify so that you can hear some of the songs that we're talking about on these episodes. You can find us there.